36 domestic flights across the country were grounded today and 3 flights forced to land as smoke and a fire alarm put the country's airspace into lockdown. Airways, the company controlling New Zealand airspace, has apologised to passengers after its power supply started smoking and the radar stopped working. The fault happened at 1:20 p.m. when the smoke was detected from the power source in the building where the radar is housed. The chief executive of Airways, Graeme Sumner, apologised to travellers and explained what happened.
The alarm was set off by smoke from one of our 2 uninterruptible power supplies, which had failed. Therefore, our radar and communication system reverted to backup system mode. With the system in backup mode, Airways was able to continue to safely manage domestic airborne traffic, and we took a conservative approach to managing New Zealand's airspace. This included halting all departures within New Zealand airspace. Our airborne international flights were not affected, as our main oceanic control centre is housed here in Auckland. Most importantly, I want to emphasise that the safety of the travelling public was not in any way impacted. At 2 p.m, we had identified the cause of the issue being one of our 2 uninterruptible power supply units, and by 2:15 p.m, Airways operations were running normally on main power supply, with backup and normal operations have now resumed. I just want to apologise to both our clients and all the travelling public for the disruption that was caused today. Naturally, we regret that, but the safety of the travelling public is our primary concern. And as a result, we hope that people can understand that the actions we took today were necessary to ensure that that took place in an orderly way. Are there any questions?
So how many flights were actually affected?
So there were 36 flights that were affected by an average of 50 minutes, and there will be some flow-on delays as a result of that, but certainly by the end of the day the network should be up and running and operating as normal.
Graeme Sumner says the hour delay was due to a partial evacuation of the building. He says fire and emergency were called, but couldn't say what caused the power supply to smoke.
We've identified the problem and we have the normal level of resilience restored in the network. So certainly we'll always want to know why something like that has happened. But what I can tell you is we have an enormous amount of resilience built into the network. So I am pleased that all of those backup systems and all of the processes that we have in place have worked as we would have expected. We don't design these things in a way for any of these failures to occur, but the way to build confidence in an environment like this is to make sure you've got plenty of backups, plenty of resilience, so that we can ensure the safety of the travelling public. Those 36 flights were the ones that were delayed. I understand there were 3 other flights that had to turn around and land again. So that's the extent of the disruption.
And that's Graeme Sumner, who is the Chief Executive of Airways.